This is Political News in 5, and today is June 5th, 2022. I'm Aisha Osori. And the first thing I want to talk about today is the APC presidential primaries that are happening this week. Now, there have been several developments, the first being that the 23 aspirants have since been screened. Reportedly, 10 have been recommended to step down because, to put it politely, there's no clear path to their victory. They know who they are. Second, President Buhari has held a series of meetings, first with the governors and then with the aspirants. With the governors, his message was basically, you've done yours, let me do mine. But okay, also give me some recommendations for who you think would be a good candidate. The governors have since sat together and have come up with a statement where they recommend that the APC presidential ticket goes to the south. This statement was not signed by two governors, the governors of Yobe and the governors of Kogi State. So whatever you make of that. Now, it's pretty clear that it was always going to be decided by consensus, right? How do we know this? One, because of the inclusion into Section 84(2), the Electoral Act, the word consensus in addition to indirect and direct primaries as a model, which other people will call the Tinubu Baba Shakwe father says model of primaries, where basically one person dictates what happens. The second is that within the forms that the APC presidential aspirants got from the party headquarters was a voluntary withdrawal form that they were all supposed to sign and swear to before a commissioner of oath. Now, it's not clear how many people did that, but it was there. So those are two clues. Since then, two things too might be influencing the way APC thinks in terms of how it holds its primaries, shifting from consensus to indirect. The first is that they do not want to seem less democratic than PDP, who held indirect primaries that we all watched. The second is the shots that were fired from Ogun during the week, which show that there will be really some very unhappy people if the primaries are decided by consensus. So speaking of that, the next thing I want to talk about is Tinubu's outburst in Ogun. Now, Tinubu has always made it clear, unashamedly, that he is driven by his ambition to be president. And last week, he took the opportunity in Ogun to remind us of how powerful he is, how he has made governors, how he has made presidents, how he has made vice presidents, including the current president. And basically, the summary of his conversation with delegates was, it's my turn. An agreement is agreement to you. Now, so much to analyze from that. For me, one is that it seemed from the outburst that Tinubu is only realizing what many have already realized since before 2019, which is that he will not be getting the APC presidential ticket in 2023. The second is that Tinubu's grip on power, this famed grip on power, has been weakening for years. And many really want to give him a taste of his own treatment, the Baba Shakwe treatment, which is also being called the Ambode treatment. Now, Nigeria is a very patriarchal society, and men's egos are quite fragile, made even more so fragile because of our political culture, where a lot of self-abasement is required. Now, many people, including governors, humiliated themselves before Tinubu, prostrating, begging him to allow Ambode to enjoy a second term, but he refused. And so many people now, even following the outburst in Ogun, are more worried than ever. What will a man like Tinubu do if he has the unlimited powers of the Nigerian presidency in his grips? So I think that's another thing that, has put the icing on the cake. And maybe Tinubu was aware of how things were going and was looking for an excuse for how to scatter everything, as they say. And then finally, I think we really need to interrogate this narrative of Tinubu making the presidency. Yes, he was very instrumental to the merger of the parties. Nobody can take that away from him. But if you look at the votes that Lagos State delivered to APC in 2015, it was less than 800,000 votes, while PDP got about 630. Kano State delivered double that with 1.9 million votes. When it comes to the money, it's also not clear that it was Tinubu that spent that money. We know those who supposedly emptied their treasuries to enthrone Buhari in 2015. 2019, again, Tinubu was hardly on the scene. And for me, the breakdown of law and order in Lagos during the elections, the return to thuggery, the snatching of ballot papers, the burning, the intimidation, was also a sign that they were not sure they were going to win and they needed to scatter everything. That's a show of weakness for me, not strength. So we need to interrogate that, or Tinubu needs to tell us what exactly he did to help Buhari win in 2015 or 2019, but the rest of us don't know. Finally, the question of the week: who is going to emerge as the APC presidential candidate? Here are a few clues. Now, 2 out of the 4 elected presidents we've had since 1999 have been ex-military. The third, who was not ex-military, was the brother of a powerful and popular ex-military man, Shehu Yaradua. And the fourth was a vice president. The next clue is that Buhari really detests politicians. I'm talking about the typical corpulent, dancing type politician. He thinks they're corrupt, and he has only held his nose to deal with them over the last couple of years just to at least achieve his own personal ambition to be president. It's very likely that he will go for a technocrat. And then third, don't look for logic when you hear the name. Just think self-interest and someone that people think they can manage within the presidency. That's it from me this week. If you haven't gotten your PVC, please go ahead and do so. And don't forget, you don't have to vote for APC or PDP. We have choices. Stay well and join me next week for another edition of Political News in 5. Bye.